The nurse didn't even knock. She just stepped into the room and whispered, "He asked for you, again." Barron Trump looked up from the hallway bench. His coat was still buttoned, the cold still clinging to his sleeves. He hadn't expected to stay long. But now, he stood up. Room 217 was quiet. Dim light from a small window spilled across the floor, touching the corner of a worn duffel bag, boots under the bed, and a photo taped to the wall, a young man in uniform, grinning beneath a helmet. Barron stepped closer. The man in the bed, skin pale, arms thin, eyes sharp despite the oxygen line, turned his head slowly. "You came back," he rasped. Barron nodded, not knowing what to say. "Good," the man whispered, "because I don't have much time. And I've got one last thing to pass on, silence." But it wasn't heavy. It was waiting, the kind of silence that holds weight. "I saw your grandfather once," the man said. "Didn't talk to him, but I watched him walk into a room and everything got quiet. Same thing just happened when you walked in." Barron felt his chest tighten. He wasn't ready for this. He thought it would be a handshake, a few polite words. Not this. The man shifted slightly, winced, then said it. "I want you to hear this. Not for me, for them." He gestured vaguely toward the window, toward the world outside, toward everyone still breathing. "You can say it later, in your way. Just promise me you'll listen first. And maybe, just maybe, you should too. Because what this man is about to say is not just a message for Barron Trump. It's for anyone who's grown older, ignored the signs, and told themselves they'll deal with it someday. Stay with us. Because this might be the thing that saves your life. Or the life of someone you love." The veteran's fingers trembled as he reached for the folded sheet of paper on his bedside table. Not a letter, not a speech. Just a list, handwritten, creased, stained at the corners. He held it out. "I wrote this after the second stroke." His voice was dry but steady. "I should have known after the first, but men like me, we wait until the pain knocks us down." Barron took the paper, careful not to tear it. 5 lines. That was all. The old man gestured to the first one. "Number 1, stop ignoring the tired." Barron looked up. "You think you're just worn out. You've worked hard, slept badly. Maybe you're just stressed." He paused to breathe. "But when the fatigue doesn't leave, when it follows you like a shadow, that's not life. That's your body begging you to pay attention." He exhaled slowly. "I felt it for 6 months. Thought I was just getting old. Turns out, my heart was starving for blood. It was trying to warn me." Barron's brows drew together. You could see it hit him. This wasn't a lecture. This was a man who'd lived too long with silence in his chest. And maybe you've felt that too. The kind of tired that coffee can't fix. That naps don't touch. That settles into your bones and whispers, "You're not okay." If that's you, don't brush it off. Don't wait for a collapse to confirm what your body already knows. Because the veteran in this bed would trade anything to go back, to listen earlier, to act sooner. But now, he was giving that chance to someone else, to Barron, and maybe to you. Stay with us. Because number 2 on that list, it might be the one you've been ignoring for years. Barron sat down. Not out of comfort, but because the room had changed. The list in his hand felt heavier now. The veteran pointed to the second line. "Number 2, watch the way you breathe." He paused, eyes fixed on the ceiling. "It's not just about wheezing, son. It's when you catch yourself holding your breath for no reason. When you wake up gasping. When climbing a single flight of stairs feels like a marathon." He turned his head toward Barron, his voice softer now. "My lungs weren't the problem. My heart was failing. But no one told me that breathlessness could mean your heart is drowning. From the inside." Barron said nothing. He was listening now with everything he had. The veteran went on. "You don't need chest pain. That's the last alarm. The body whispers first, and breath is its language. Shorter walks. Longer rests. You chalk it up to age. But sometimes, age is just an excuse to ignore what matters. His words weren't angry. They were tired, but not weak. They carried the weight of someone who knew what regret felt like, and didn't want anyone else to feel it. He looked at Barron, then back toward the window. Tell them. Tell the ones who still have time. When your breath changes, your life is telling you something. And maybe right now, your own breath, the one you just took, was a little shallower than usual. Maybe it's not nothing. Maybe it's the first sign. Speech to action. Take a moment, right now. Walk to the end of the room. Up one flight of stairs. Focus on your breath. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because the man in that bed doesn't get another chance. But you still do. And there are 3 more truths on that list. Each one more urgent than the last. Stay with us. Because the next thing he says might be the one that finally wakes you up. Barron's eyes dropped to the 3rd line on the paper. The ink was faded there, smudged from a fingerprint or maybe a tear. The veteran cleared his throat. Number 3. Pay attention when food stops tasting like food. Barron looked up, puzzled. The old man smiled weakly. Not just flavor, son. I mean appetite. When you stop being hungry. When you eat, not because you want to, but because it's what the clock says. He reached for the cup of water beside him, hands unsteady. I used to love steak, fresh bread, cornbread with butter. One day I took a bite, and it was like chewing a memory. Nothing was there. He set the cup down, didn't drink. Appetite is life. It's your body saying, I still want to be here. He looked at Barron with steady eyes. When it disappears, it's not just aging. Sometimes it's depression. Sometimes it's kidney failure. Sometimes it's the slow shutdown that creeps in while you keep pretending everything's fine. Barron shifted, visibly affected. Nobody told me that losing my hunger meant I was losing control. He closed his eyes for a second, not in pain, but in remembrance. If I'd gone in earlier, it could have been corrected. A medication, a diet change. Something simple. He opened them again, sharper now. But pride doesn't let you ask why your sandwich tastes like cardboard. And maybe that's the truth. Maybe you've stopped finishing meals. Started skipping breakfast, telling yourself it's just old age. But your body is trying to say something. Are you listening? Speech to action. Think back to this week. How often did you eat because you were truly hungry? How often did you taste joy? If the answer's unclear, don't wait. Because the 3rd thing on his list was the first thing he ignored. And now, only 2 remain, the most important ones. Stay with us, because number 4 is the mistake that nearly took everything. The room had grown still. Outside, a bird chirped once and flew away. Inside, Barron held the list tighter, as if it might vanish if he let go. The veteran looked straight ahead now. Not at Barron, not at the window. Just into something deeper. Number 4, he said slowly. Stop calling it just stress. He laughed once, bitter and small. It's never just stress when your hands shake for no reason. When you forget names you've known your whole life. When your jaw tightens, your chest flutters, your gut turns. But you tell yourself, I'll sleep it off. Barron's expression didn't change, but something in him leaned in. The veteran's hand clenched the blanket. I worked my whole life. Long hours, real pressure. But what broke me wasn't the job. It was pretending the pressure didn't matter. He turned his head to Barron again, eyes sharpened now, not angry, but deliberate. Your heart listens to every lie you tell your mind. And after enough lies, it stops fighting. A silence followed, heavy, personal. It wasn't just his story anymore, it was yours. Mine. Anyone who's ever said, it's nothing while something inside quietly frayed. Speech to action. Tonight, before bed, sit still for 60 seconds. No phone, no screen. Ask your body, what have I been calling just stress? Because stress that settles becomes illness. and illness ignored becomes final. The veteran sighed, his voice barely above a whisper now. Tell them, Barron. Tell them that the tightness in their chest might not be from a bad day, but from a heart that's been carrying too much for too long. He closed his eyes for a moment. And there's one more, number 5. But I don't say that one until I see that someone's listening. He opened his eyes again, and this time, he looked directly into yours. Stay, because the last thing on his list is the reason he asked for Barron in the first place. Barron didn't speak, didn't blink. He just nodded once. And the old man saw it. All right, the veteran whispered. Then here it is. He raised one trembling finger. Tapped gently on the last line of the paper. Number 5, don't wait to say the thing you'll regret not saying. He let the words hang in the air. Not poetic, not dramatic, just real. I waited too long to say I forgive you. Too long to say I was wrong. Too long to say I love you without a joke after it. Barron's jaw tightened. The veteran breathed slowly now. Measured, like he was reading from a page only he could see. I had a brother I didn't speak to for 15 years. By the time I picked up the phone, the nurse said I was 2 hours late. Silence. That call still rings in my head. He looked at Barron, no anger, no bitterness. You can drink your vitamins, walk every day. You can stretch, pray, meditate. But if your heart is full of unsaid things, you're not really alive. You're just waiting. Barron looked down at the list. 5 lines, 5 chances, 5 quiet alarms. This, the veteran said, tapping the list once more. This isn't about dying. He took a breath. It's about not waiting to live. And maybe right now, you already know what you haven't said. That apology, that phone call, that one sentence you've rehearsed in your head for years. So don't wait. Speech to action. Pause this video. Pick up your phone. Call the person that came to your mind just now. Say it. Now. Because this man in the bed, he would give anything. Anything to get that chance again. But he asked for Barron instead. To carry the list forward. To make sure someone heard it in time. And now, you did. Barron stood slowly. The list still in his hand, now slightly crumpled, like it had fused with his fingers. He looked at the man in the bed, not as a stranger anymore, but as someone who had handed him something sacred. A lifetime, folded into 5 lines. I'll tell them, Barron said softly. His voice didn't shake. It didn't have to. The veteran blinked once and smiled. Good, he whispered. Because no one listened when I said it quietly. But maybe they'll listen when you say it out loud. The heart monitor beeped gently. Nothing urgent. Just steady. It's not about fear, the old man added, eyes growing heavier. It's about respecting the time you have left. Whether it's 50 years or 50 minutes. He coughed, a dry sound, hollow and brief. Tell them that silence is the real killer. Barron leaned in. I will. He reached down, gently rested the list on the bedside table, right where the nurse would see it. And then, for the first time since he entered, he placed his hand over the veteran's, not for him, but for everyone who still had time. And maybe that means you. Because you just heard what others never got to. 5 things, 5 warnings, 5 chances. Don't just hear them, live them. Your story isn't over. But one day, maybe sooner than you think, you'll wish you had started listening today. So now it's your turn, your move. And no one can make it but you. If this story meant something to you, don't let it fade. Leave a comment, even just a few words. It shows you're still here and still listening. Share this with someone you care about. Someone who might need to hear those 5 things before it's too late. And if you want more stories like this, stories that speak to your life, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss the next one. Because your second chapter doesn't start someday. It starts the moment you choose it. Maybe that moment is now.